There were new Epstein photos released today showing you and also Bill Clinton, Steve Bannon. What were your reaction to those new photos that were released today?
Well, I haven't seen it, but I mean, everybody knew this man. He was all over Palm Beach. He has photos with everybody. I mean, almost, there are hundreds and hundreds of people that have photos with him, so that's no big deal. I know nothing about it.
Quote, I know nothing about it. Apparently, Donald Trump, who was yet again pictured alongside Jeffrey Epstein in the latest tranche of photos released by the Epstein estate, including this one of Trump with 6 young girls, of Trump-branded condoms, Trump on Epstein's plane, another one with Trump and Epstein together, has no clue about anything when it comes to him and Jeffrey Epstein. But hey, if he says he knows nothing about it, then who are you really going to believe? Your own eyes or the guy who's told over 30,000 lies during his time in office? Take all the time you need with that one. And I'll be honest here, the fact that Trump continues to take this posture is why I'm skeptical at best that when next week's deadline hits, Pam Bondi will refuse to release the full Epstein files in accordance with the law passed by Congress and signed by Trump. You'll remember that just before the bill was signed, Bondi gave herself one small out that she revealed at her press conference.
The Epstein files, does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
You'll notice she reserved the right to be able to point to an ongoing investigation as a way to avoid releasing all the files. And lo and behold, an ongoing investigation is exactly what she announced into Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, and JP Morgan Chase after Trump demanded that she do exactly that. Meaning now she has all the tools she needs to suppress any files that might just embarrass the guy who she's devoted her entire career to protecting. In fact, I spoke with Pod Save America's Tommy Vitor about that exact point. Here's what he had to say. At the end of this whole process, so 4 weeks from the time that the law was passed, which I believe was whatever at the end of November, do you think that Pam Bondi does go ahead and actually release these files?
Unfortunately, I will have no confidence ever that they've released everything.
Yeah.
I think there's an ongoing effort to remember there was a story about the FBI spending like hundreds of hours redacting Trump's name and stuff. Like shit like that really worries me.
There was also there's also the fact that Pam Bondi has kind of couched her vow to release these files in this idea that she's going to release whatever she can release, pending, barring any ongoing investigation. And of course, at the 11th hour, Trump had posted that he's certain that Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, JP Morgan Chase, Reid Hoffman were all involved in this. And so Pam Bondi should definitely totally open up some investigation. It took 4 hours for Pam Bondi to then get onto Twitter and say, we're hereby opening investigation into these Democrats. And so if that gives her some pretext to be able to say, hey, we're looking into there's an ongoing investigation until we can't release all the files, then now she has the justification to be able to do that.
Yeah, look, Pam Bondi is an idiot. Kash Patel is an idiot. They were only put in their jobs because they will do Trump's bidding, and I have absolute confidence that that is what's happening right now. They are going to try to clean up these files, cover up what they can, and release what they think is politically damaging to others and not Donald Trump, and it'll just be on investigative journalists and Congress and, good people who are still working at the FBI and DOJ to make sure the rest gets out there.
But here's the problem for Trump. Even his own party seems hell-bent on ensuring transparency. Here, for example, is Republican lawmaker Thomas Massey.
If DOJ doesn't release the files it has by next Friday, is there anything Congress can do to compel that to happen?
Well, I mean, it's a crime if they don't. It's not like they're in contempt of Congress because they didn't respond to a subpoena. This is a new law with, criminal implications if they don't follow it. But I was encouraged, again, by the fact that they went back to these 3 judges and got the judges to release the grand jury material to the DOJ. Thank you, Congressman.
Is that grand jury material enough, do you think, to comply with the law?
No, the grand jury material is just a small fraction of what the DOJ needs to release. Because the FBI and DOJ probably has evidence that they chose not to take to the grand jury, because the evidence they're in possession of would implicate other people, not Epstein or Maxwell. So the grand jury material is probably going to just be mostly facts and evidence that was used to convict those two. And what we want to see are the facts and evidence that the FBI and the DOJ have never given to a grand jury.
I also spoke with Massey's discharge petition co-sponsor, Ro Khanna, about how we can trust that the DOJ will be properly transparent. Here's what he had to say. The number one question that I've been getting as I've been, as I live streamed the House vote, for example, is how can we trust whatever comes out of Pam Bondi's DOJ, that if Donald Trump is going to sign this bill, there's no way that he's going to just relinquish all of his power, release the Epstein files in full. And so how can you have some confidence, some trust in whatever comes out of Pam Bondi's office, that it's the real thing?
Well, first of all, we know what is in these files. We know that they're rich and powerful men who abuse these women. How do we know? Because I've talked to survivors, lawyers who've seen the files. I've talked to survivors who know what's in some of these files. And we have independent documents coming from the Epstein estate. So if they play games, we will be able to call them out on that. There are also former Justice Department officials who've seen the files. Second, now it is going to become a criminal offense for a Justice Department career official not to release these files. So it's no longer Pam Bondi or Donald Trump, and you're thinking, are you upsetting them or not? Now you have a law that Congress has passed. And if you are overseeing the reporting to Congress or the release of these files, you're going to think twice about what if there's a President Gretchen Whitmer in 2029? Do I really want to take the risk of breaking the law? Do I really want to take the risk of being hauled in front of Congress when Robert Garcia is the chair of the Oversight Committee? So this law, I think people don't understand what a big deal it is. It's not some kind of resolution or we'd like you to release the files. This is saying it is a law of the United States signed by the President of the United States that you must release these files. And if you don't, you're in contempt of Congress and subject to criminal prosecution.
So look, Trump is and will try every trick in the book. He will meddle using his DOJ. He'll tell his supporters that he's got no clue what we're all talking about. But all he's doing is sending a message that he's got something to hide, and he thinks his own supporters are too stupid to know the difference. The reality is that if he wasn't trying to hide anything, these files would have been released 11 months ago. The fact that we are still waiting in December of 2025, 3 weeks into the 4-week window that even Republicans gave themselves when writing this bill, is all the proof you need that he does have something to hide. And his own comments aren't doing him any favors. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.